Now, the deep state plan, the central bank's plan to push this event, to cover up everything that they've done, it is now falling apart. Yes, I know the mainstream media is out there. They're still pushing fear, panic, chaos. But soon, and I mean soon, we're going to see things completely change. What we've been watching, what we've been talking about, has been going on behind the scenes. The silent war. Removing the power structure. Removing their entire global apparatus. And exposing all of these individuals for who and what they are. Now, Q dropped more posts today. Q is letting us know that we need to be ready. It is coming. And it seems like we're getting very close to that time. The Patriots are in full control. We know that the Patriots are removing the blocks. The Rothschilds. Trump just took over the Fed. It is now merged with the Treasury. Trump calls the shots. Powell, during a question and answer period, said he takes orders now from the Treasury Secretary. Who controls the Treasury Secretary? Trump. He has now cut off the Rothschilds. Trump is now making his move, not just him alone, but others, and taking control of the entire system. Now it's time to go after the others. Remember, they've already taken control of the House of Saud. Who's left? Soros? Kissinger? The silent war continues, and it's about to ramp up. We'll be talking all about this a little bit later in this report. But first, we can see that the Patriots now, they're bringing the spying scandal and everything that they've done back into the news. And they're pushing this very hard. We have George Papadopoulos. He's out there. And he's letting everyone know that everything that they've done here, it's going to be exposed. And George Papadopoulos tweeted this out. My profanity-laced interview with yet another loser informant has been published. I promise you, there is a conspiracy case being built around this frame drop. I know exactly who it is. Now, he was responding to Catherine Herridge. She tweeted out, Scoop, FISA CBS News has reviewed transcripts of conversations between George Papadopoulos and a confidential source working for the FBI less than 2 weeks ago before 2016 presidential election, and has published key excerpts below. And they talk about, did Trump hack the DNC? Was he working with Russia? And George Papadopoulos says no, he was not. Now, the reason why all this is coming out is because they're getting prepared and ready, and they're laying the groundwork once again. Brian Cates tweeted this out. Sometimes it's hard to keep track of all the spies and agents and informants that the FBI ran at George Papa 19 back in 2016. That's George Papadopoulos. Stefan Halper, longtime CIA working for FBI as CHS. Azra Turk, Alexander Downer, Joseph Mifsud, and Putin's fake niece. This whole thing is starting to crash around them. We've just learned with Flynn that all of a sudden Covington has found some documents in a file cabinet, and they're going to respond now because they're under the spotlight right now because they weren't defending who? Flynn. Who does Covington have connections to? Eric Holder. It's all starting to fall apart. And now the footnotes to the entire report that Horowitz put out, they're going to be declassified, exposing FBI concerns about Steele disinformation. Now everyone is going to see the footnotes. You think this is going to help the FBI? Absolutely not. It's going to hurt them. Timing is very, very important. Now, very interestingly, yesterday at the presser, as always, during around 6 o'clock can be very dangerous, and I can see why this was said, because this is when reporters ask questions, and they have the OAN reporter who's in there asking the real questions while the other ones are really not. But I can see why this is so dangerous now. Now, they asked him about Bernie Sanders, Biden, and Trump, and this is from CJ Truth, tweeted out, he's got to come out at some point. I think I know, but you don't know. Now, what is he talking about? Well, take a listen to what he said.
Obama hasn't supported Joe Biden a long time ago. There's something he feels is wrong. Why isn't he'll come out? I'm sure he's got to come out at some point, because he certainly doesn't want to see me for 4 more years. We're not. We think a little bit differently. You know what? I'll tell you. It does amaze me that President Obama hasn't supported Sleepy Joe. It just hasn't happened. When's it going to happen? When is it going to happen? Why isn't it? He knows something that you don't know, that I think I know.
So Trump is talking about Obama. Why didn't Obama endorse Biden? He was his vice president. Trump says, I think I know why. You don't know why, but he knows why. Because they have someone else waiting on the outside. Who could that be? I can't even imagine. Now, we know there's been a big push for mail voting. Since this event occurred, since that incident in Wisconsin, what have we seen? The corrupt politicians, the former corrupt politicians, the deep state players, the mainstream media, what have they all done? They've pushed mail voting. So mail-in voting. This was a trap set up by the Patriots. You're probably wondering yourself, how did they trap them? Well, let's go down and see how they trapped them. Post 3896. Q says, push new revised P 2020 vote by mail, in brackets, unsecure. Push D wish list, unrelated items, CV bill, voting amendments, trying to change how we vote. So what is the mathematical probability this occurs? The time bomb, which exploded at the exact point in time that allows for maximum damage prior to the presidential election. This was all planned. Now, during the presser, the reporters were asking questions. Actually, Trump tweeted this out yesterday. Absentee ballots are a great way to vote for many senior citizens, military and others, who can't get to the polls on Election Day. These ballots are very different than 100% mail-in voting, which is ripe for fraud and shouldn't be allowed. Now, during the presser, like we said, the reporters were asking questions, and Trump said, yeah, doing it this way is very fraudulent. Take a listen.
And I'm not going to say which party does it, but thousands of votes are gathered and they come in and they're dumped in a location, and then all of a sudden you lose elections that you think you're going to win. I won't stand for it. Well, we're going to find out about the proof, because you're going to see what's going on. And I'm not going to stand for it. Our voting system, first of all, we should have voter ID. When you vote, you should have voter ID. And if you send something in, you should be sure, as a state and as a country, you should be sure that that vote is meaningful.
Now, Trump is leading them to exactly where he wants them. He wants them to ask him for proof, and that's exactly what they did. Acosta asked, hey, do you have any proof of this fraud? Well, let me think for a sec. Aren't they a newspaper outlet? Aren't they supposed to be doing investigative reporting? Shouldn't it be his job to look for the fraud? To see if voting by mail is fraudulent? Instead, they're asking Trump for the information. This is how you know they don't do any investigative reporting anymore. So they just fell right into the trap. Now, we have the corrupt politicians, the mainstream media, trying to get ahead of this. We had the New York Times. They put out an article, Trump is pushing a false argument on vote by mail fraud. Here are the facts. And they give all their facts, which are not facts. Then we have Hillary Clinton. She's tweeting this out. 72% of all U.S. adults, including 79% of Democrats and 65% of Republicans, supported a requirement for mail-in ballots as a way to protect voters in case of a continued spread of the respiratory disease later this year. Really, it's the same stat she used where she said she was going to win in the 2016 election. Well, that never happened. So let's see if there is proof. Very interesting. Well, first we have Tom Fitton, and he tweeted out, voter fraud risk, special report, finds 2.5 million extra names on nation's voting rolls and warns 5 states to clean up rolls or face lawsuits. Dirty election rolls can mean dirty elections. Then we have Breitbart News coming out saying, here, Jim Acosta, here's a lot of the proof. So the president's re-election campaign responded to Acosta, and they're noting there are 9 people charged in the Rio Grande Valley in Texas with vote harvesting and mail ballots. A political operative in New York stealing and submitting absentee ballots, and a resident in Pennsylvania receiving 7 separate ballots in the mail. The campaign also shared Heritage Foundation documents of over 1,000 proven cases of vote fraud. Trump campaign also quoted an election expert in the New York Times who said although election fraud was rare, the most common type of such fraud in the United States involves absentee ballots. Now think about this for a sec. They're giving this proof. During the 2018 election, and we know from Q, they monitored the elections during that period of time. This was done on purpose. Why interfere with an enemy while they're in the process of destroying themselves? These last 3 years was to watch, monitor, collect evidence on all these individuals. Let them do what they do best. Guess what they're going to do now? They're going to use it against them. Trump has been talking about voter ID. Wow, look how this all just led right into voter ID. In the beginning of the year, everyone was probably wondering, how are we going to bring up voter ID? Well, he led them right down the path. They let them do the event. They brought up mail-in voting. And here we are with voter ID. And now they're going to produce the evidence that will support voter ID and show voter mail-in is fraudulent. Well played. Now, Judicial Watch is not finished. They are now suing North Carolina to clean up its voter rolls because they found that there were 2 counties and they failed to clean up their voter rolls. And according to Judicial Watch, the voter registration data in many of North Carolina's 100 counties have large numbers of ineligible voters on their rolls. This is how they've been cheating. And this goes far beyond this. Now, very interestingly, since Trump, the Patriots have taken control of the House of Saud, what do we see happening? We see Saudi Arabia now working with Yemen to have a ceasefire for about 2 weeks. And their aim is to organize peace talks. So we have peace talks in Afghanistan, peace talks in Yemen, peace in Syria, Libya, Lebanon, and the rest. Trump is ending the endless wars. Now, yes, are there certain players there that don't want peace? Of course they do. And they continually try to stop it. But I do believe now the Patriots, they are in control of all of this. Now, very interestingly, we know that the Free Press, the association, has been trying to stop the pressers. They wrote to the FCC. We know the White House Correspondent Association, they're trying to get rid of OAN, Chanel, the reporter. They don't want her in the White House. They don't want her asking questions because she's asking real questions. She's not asking the idiot questions that the other reporters are asking. She's pushing Trump into answering what is really going on with the storm. And they're trying to get rid of her. This is why 6 o'clock is so dangerous. And Dan Scavino Jr., he is calling out the Chinese-backed news organizations. He tweeted this out. American taxpayers paying for China's very own propaganda via the U.S. government-funded Voice of America. Disgrace. And I've always thought that. I always thought the Voice of America was never a real news outlet, and now Dan Scavino Jr. has just proved it. And then we had A.G. Barr. He was being interviewed, and he said many, many different things. Actually, they're starting the narrative right now about China, about spying, and everything else. We'll get into that in just a minute. But he said that he identified China as the biggest threat to the United States and said they're engaged in a full-court blitzkrieg to steal our technology. China is a very serious threat to the United States, geopolitically, economically, militarily, and a threat to the integrity of our institutions given their ability to influence things. He's letting everyone know China is very dangerous. Think about what they've just done. They've taken all eyes off of Russia. Russia's not even talked about anymore. Yes, the mainstream media still tries to bring it up, but no one's listening. And every time they ask Trump, where's this virus from? He says China. It's a territory. That's where it's from. That's what he keeps saying. This is done on purpose. They have all eyes now looking at China. And we can see their whole entire event is falling apart. Paul Sperry tweeted this out. Breaking FEC records show the husband of State Department Dr. Deborah Birx coordinating COVID-19 response is a Democrat who gave at least $8,100 to Hillary Victory Fund and Hillary for America in 2015 and 2016 and served as deputy assistant and director of advance for President Clinton. Trump knows this. He's using Fauci, who's a deep state player, Birx as a deep state player. He's using them as optics. He's keeping the mainstream media very busy. They think they're in control, but it's the opposite way. Remember what Sun Tzu always says. Appear weak while your enemy thinks they're strong. That's exactly what is happening right now. And you can tell that Obama, Clinton, and the rest, they are panicked right now because Trump is not listening to them. He's not listening to Fauci. He's not listening to Birx. He's not listening to the WHO. Obama tweeted this out. Social distancing bends the curve and relieves some pressure on our heroic medical professionals. But in order to shift off current policies, the key will be a robust system of testing and monitoring, something we have yet to put in place nationwide. Why does he want that? Because the tests are faulty, 50 to 80% false positive, and other tests are infected with COVID-19. This is how they were going to create the fear and panic. Trump didn't listen. This is why we don't have what they wanted. This is why they're making up numbers. This is why they're saying people are pushing conspiracy. Trump is not following their plan. They thought everyone would be tested. And we know the tests were faulty. Obama is now signaling to the swamp to push and try to get this done. And we know it's not going to work. I mean, look at the ventilators, for example. The media went out and said Cuomo was right. They need 30,000 ventilators. It's legitimate. It's going to be awful. President Trump, he was out there and he says, I don't think New York actually needs 30,000 additional ventilators or 40,000 ventilators total as claimed by Governor Andrew Cuomo. New models from the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation show that New York already reached its peak of 5,000 people on April 8th. They don't need 30,000. And guess what's happening? Trump is proven to be right once again. The question is, why do we have all these makeshift hospitals, all these ventilators? Who's it for? And Trump, he has been hitting the World Health Organization. Remember, the U.S. spends about $452 million on WHO. China spends $42 million. Trump, he's getting ready to cut the WHO. The WHO is a money laundering scheme, and they use it for many different agendas, just like we're seeing right now. Now, Dan Scavino, he tweeted out a picture of the White House at night with like the bedroom lights on and one floor, two windows down below with those lights on. So it's at night and someone is staying up late. That reminded me of Post 1027, April 4th, 2018. POTUS will be up all night. Pray, watch the news tomorrow. Is Dan Scavino telling us to watch the news tomorrow? What's tomorrow? Good Friday. What's the date? April 4th, 10/20. So 4/10/20. Those are the initials of Donald J. Trump. Is something going to happen? We don't know. We'll have to wait to see. But Trump, he knows what's really going on. That's why he's up late at night. Now, we know what Red Castle and Green Castle are. They're the Army Corps of Engineers. And we've gone through the posts saying Red Castle online, Green Castle online. And here we have Red Castle online. They tweeted out, the New York District, in conjunction with the state, federal, and local partners, is constructing an alternate care facility for approximately 1,000 patients in climate-controlled tents at Stony Brook. And the question is, why do we need all of this? The numbers do not support this. The death toll does not support this. Nothing supports it right now. Something doesn't make sense. Now, we know that Boris Johnson, he became very ill. He was taken into the intensive care unit. He started to do better all of a sudden, and now he's out of intensive care. Trump tweeted out this. Great news. Prime Minister Boris Johnson has just been moved out of intensive care. Get well, Boris. How did he get better so quickly? I mean, it seems like it's a miracle. Maybe we'll find out in a little bit. Now, let's get into Q's new posts. This is from yesterday. This is April 8th. This is post 3917. And this says, out of order, and this is in brackets in bold, insert important. Gives us a Twitter link to this individual. That account is now suspended. But it showed individuals that were hanging upside down. Looks like they were skinned. And it looks like there was another human being cooked. And it says, do you think spirit cooking was just pretend? Then gave us a link to cannibalclub.org. Now, Q is letting us know that something else is going on. And we have to remember how the deep state tries to convince people that these things are fake. They put up like fake websites. They make you believe that, see, it's a fake website. It's not real. So these things don't happen. This is how they make it into a conspiracy theory. And I do believe Q is letting us know that this stuff is not fake. It is real. And this is done by the deep state to create the impression that the people that are talking about this are crazy. And this is all going to end very soon. Let's move on to post 3918. This is April 9th. This is Fox News. It says, Barr disappointed by partisan attacks leveled at Trump, says media on jihad against hydroxychloroquine. Now, during the interview, Barr said he was disappointed over the partisan attacks against hydroxychloroquine. He said, it was very disappointing because I think the president went out at the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic and really was statesmanlike, trying to bring people together, working with all the governors, keeping his patience as he got the snarky gotcha questions from the White House media pool, and the stridency of the partisan attacks on him has gotten higher and higher. And below this it says, difficult to imagine media, D Party, and that's D Party is in all brackets, bold, attempting to squash all hope of cure. Difficult to imagine media, D Party, wanting public to remain in fear of COVID-19, and that is COVID-19 in brackets in bold, up until the election. Difficult to imagine media D Party willing to sacrifice lives in order to regain power. Enemy of the people. Difficult truths will soon see the light of day. Post 3919. How do you hide the truth? Create a website and label it fake. How do you hide the truth? Create a public trend, i.e. term conspiracy, to humiliate, typecast as mental crazy loony anyone who opposes the narrative. If you talk about people using human trafficking, if you talk about people eating other people, if you talk about any of these things, this is what they do. They create fake websites. They let people see them and say, oh, these are all fake. No wonder why. This is a conspiracy. They've done this on purpose. This is the deep state. Control majority of media to project, echo, and that's in bold and brackets, a controlled message, i.e. a desired topic. Let's move on to post 3920. Q says, what happens when the state actor's assets are removed? How does a state actor gain leverage over a person in power? We know that. Q lets us know again. Blackmail. Define traitor. Data exchanges can be very dangerous. Remember, they have access to everything. I'm talking about the Patriots. The NSA has access to the phones. Remember, the deep state set all this up. They're using this against them. They know who has done what. They understand that there's corrupt politicians because they got them. They have the data exchanges. They have it all. And they're getting ready to produce it. How do we know this? Let's move to post 3921. FISA indictments equal START. And when Q said this, it reminded me of START, and that brought me back to post 1928. Now, this is very interesting. It says, Movie 1, Showtime Movie 1, full, The Start. Now, this was back in August 19th, 2018. It says, plot. how the intelligence apparatus, State Department, and Department of Justice of the United States, in joint effort with our ex-primary foreign allies, plus other covert assets, as directed by Hussein, White House, in coordination with Hillary Clinton, colluded and conspired to rig the presidential election of 2016 in an effort to install HRC, Hillary Clinton, frame POTUS projection, create emergency contingency, or installation of safeguards and firewalls to prevent exposure or continuation of presidency should counter fail to ensure operators, actors, agents of power, past and present, remain in control, and use sources, covert assets of the fake news media to carry out X-frame barrage of strategic coordinated guided attacks designed to divide, cover, shelter, justify impeachment, removal in an effort to regain control and prevent public awareness of illegal criminal treasonous acts. Movies 1 through 3, full list. Coming soon to a theater near you. Movie 1. Well, that's the start. Movie 2. Coming this fall. Do I hear arrests? Do I hear trials? Movie 3 to be announced. Enjoy the show. Then we have post 3922. Now, this is Luke Goldberg tweeted out the interview with A.G. Barr, and it says, preview of part 2 Barr interview with Ingram. What happened to POTUS was one of the greatest travesties in American history. No basis for this investigation. What's even more concerning is what happened after the campaign, a whole pattern of events to sabotage the presidency. What have the Patriots been doing this entire time? They've been monitoring the enemy, collecting the information. Why interfere with them? Because remember, it's a lot easier to show the world everything they have done since Trump became president. And this is what they've been doing. Now, very interestingly, Q also put up this post, 3923. It's a poster of Trump. It's in red. It has the Washington Monument. It says, below the depths of the D.C. swamp, the hunt is on. In the invisible war for the future of our republic, the tables are now turned, and now the hunters become the hunted. Patriots in control. Enjoy the show. Now, this is very interesting because Q gives us an article, and it is The Guardian. Now, this was put out on March 23rd. This article in The Guardian where Trump says the invisible war. Q says compare and contrast, dates are important. So the first time that Q put out this poster where it says the invisible war is February 10th. Trump then mentioned it on March 23rd. So Q said the invisible war on the 10th of February, and Trump said it on March 23rd after Q posted it. That tells you that Q and Trump are working together. It's like a Q proof. Post 3924. Now, this is Malik Obama. Gives us the bell that says, where we go one, we go all. Now, Malik Obama, he's Obama's brother. He's been posting on his Twitter feed pictures of Obama in tribal attire, and he's continually doing this. And then we have Q posting Malik Obama's Twitter feed of where we go one, we go all on the Q drops. Is Q trying to say that Malik is the one that's going to present that picture of Obama in his tribal attire, holding an AK-47 and shooting up the red, white, and blue? It's starting to look that way. And then we have post 3925. Q gives us a link to Trump. Now, this is from 2019. It says, the Democrats and crooked Hillary paid for and provided a fake dossier with phony information gotten from foreign sources, pushed it to the corrupt media and dirty cops, and have now been caught. They spied on my campaign, then try to cover it up, just like Watergate, but bigger. And then Q says, do people really believe the biggest scandal in modern U.S. history will go unpunished? And this is in brackets bold, scot-free? Back channels are important. Q is a back channel. Patriots stand at the ready. This is in brackets, shills wine. Now, is Q letting us know that they're preparing to do something? It's starting to seem that way. And I have a very funny feeling that news is about to come out. Post 3926 gives us a Breitbart link. CBS News plays Italy hospital footage again. Remember we reported on this before, where they took the footage from Italy, used it here in America, and pretended it was in New York? Well, they said it was an editing mishap, but they aired it again. Yes, maybe once you can use that excuse, but twice you cannot. Q says the truth, and this is all caps, the truth is right in front of you. There's nothing really happening. We've had a citizen journalist go out to hospitals. The death count is lower than last March, and the April death count is supposed to be even lower. Have these deep state players, have they created something out of fear and panic? Yes, I do believe they wanted everyone to test positive for coronavirus by using these tests, but Trump didn't allow these tests to be put out into the public. I think they wanted full-on chaos. Even though people wouldn't have really gotten it, they would have gotten it from the tests, or they would have been shown that they had it. They didn't get what they wanted. That's why Obama was out there tweeting, listen, we need everyone tested now, because he knows that this whole thing's falling apart. Everything is falling apart. Even Dr. Birx, we have to look at the modelers to find out the modelers. I mean, they're just talking in circles now. It doesn't even make sense. And what's very interesting is we know we have military on the ground. We have FBI on the ground. Q has been telling us and warning us to be careful about false flags. The FBI tweeted this out. Hashtag DYK, the FBI has around 170 task forces, yes, 17, dedicated to keeping America's streets safe from gang violence. Federal, state, and local task force officers run coordinated investigations that often lead to drug, firearm, or racketeering charges. Then we have NORAD. NORAD tweeted this out, and I find this very interesting. Remains prepared to respond to security threats. We maintain ample capabilities to deter aggression and defeat attacks in any domain. 24/7. North America Aerospace Defense Command. Shows a picture of all the F-16s. We have an AWACS plane, all on the runway, ready to go. And below this, there's a caption. We have the watch. Hasn't Q been telling us to follow the watch? They're prepared to respond to security threats. We maintain ample capabilities to deter aggression and defeat attacks in any domain 24/7. Follow the watch. They are the watch. And then we have the last post from Q. And it's a Twitter link. And this is an individual in Rwanda saying, where we go one, we go all. This is worldwide. And in this post it says, we are united in this fight. Where we go one, we go all. And in that Twitter link, I find this very interesting. It says, cue the wake up.